I'm in the Northwest Valley City right now, one of my favorite spots in town, Pioneer Park. It's just about a block and a half from our house, and to me it's one of the neatest areas in town, particularly this amphitheater here. The park was dedicated to the memory of the pioneers of Valley City.
I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand.
Pioneer Park was dedicated in a ceremony in 1937 in memory of the pioneers of this area. The land originally was in the hands of Barnes County, and then 2 years earlier they gave it to the city and to the Parks and Rec, and then in a September 30th, 1937 ceremony, it was dedicated. And just several elements that I see here that I think are relevant is, of course, the idea that it was dedicated to the memory of pioneers. They came into this region, they did something that had never been done here before. They pioneered a city, and because of what they did, we have this community today. Right here is what's just a one bottom plow. It was given to this park, dedicated to the park in 1978. Yeah, again in memory of the pioneers. And you think about today, as ground is broken, well, a lot of times they don't even use plows anymore because the ground has already been tilled, and so farmers will just do no-till farming. But you think about the idea of a city being pioneered. Once it's pioneered, once the ground is broken, once the city is established, you can put a plow in a museum like this, and you don't really need it anymore because the city has been pioneered, and you can just start to build and enjoy what you have.
And you are
At the same time that Pioneer Park was being established and dedicated, another pioneering work was going on in Valley City. Blanche Britton, known as a sodbuster for all her work in planting churches in North Dakota, held a tent meeting at the old mill in Valley City. It was in 1936, and a week into the meetings, a major hailstorm struck that demolished the tent, making it unusable. I talked to Paul Gage recently. He told me that, and he was 11 years old at the time, he told me that they went into Fargo and bought a new tent and continued with the meetings. The work that Blanche Britton did in 1936, there was not a church established at that time, but a group of Pentecostal believers did begin meeting at that point, a group of 20 to 25 that included the Gage family. That group continued meeting. They met down in the area of the city auditorium, and a number of years later that same core group came together and established an Assemblies of God church in Valley City. Because of those pioneers and because of the pioneering work of Blanche Britton, we have our church today. And we look to the future of what God wants to do in Valley City.
walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made strong.
What I see as I stand in this park today is that in the natural, it works just fine to relegate the tools of pioneering like the one bottom plow and the sod house and stuff like that. It works great to relegate those to museum pieces. It's just fine in the natural if the pioneering spirit is a thing of the past, because Valley City's already been pioneered. You can't hardly go anywhere and find a place that hasn't already been settled. But in the spirit, things are far different in the spiritual realm. In the book of Hosea, chapter 10, verse 12, we read this. The prophet says, "Sow for yourselves righteousness, reap in mercy. Break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till he comes and rains righteousness upon you. In the church, in the church and in the spiritual world, the pioneering mentality and the pioneering tools must never become a thing of the past. Why? Because things change in the spirit realm. People change, generations roll over, new people groups move into town, and hearts harden. And so pioneering work in the church and in the spiritual realm always has to be going on. It always has to be happening. You always have to pull out the plow and break up the hard ground in your own heart and in a community. That has to happen. And so as a church, we need to find a way to grab onto a pioneering spirit. We need to find a way to pick up the tools that would be used in planting a church and utilize them in our time and in this time for our church.
Take me deep.